here with a 30-minute basic class that is risk-free. So we're not going to be on our hands and knees. So this is a great class if you have some sore or fatigued wrists. So let's go ahead and we'll get started laying on our back. So we're coming onto our back. I like to start with the soles of the feet on the ground and my hands resting on the belly, but by all means, you can splay out however feels good for you. So go ahead and find your nice comfortable position and then take a big breath in through your nose, and as you exhale, push it out of your mouth. Give yourself a moment here to just kind of pause, feeling your body settle into the ground, just kind of moving from that thinking mind into the feeling sensations of the body. Noticing how the ground feels underneath you. Maybe noticing the texture or cushion of your mat. Begin to feel the breath as it moves in, and feel the breath as it moves out. Then we're just going to start to slow that breath down. So we're slowing down the exhale as we release it, and then maybe pulling that inhale in just a little bit more. As you do this, we're going to think about our intention. So I offer you up the intention of staying in the present moment. So it's one of the components of being mindful, and it's probably the one that I struggle with the most. So it's really easy for our minds to go and anticipate what's coming next, or rehash what we've already done, or something that has happened in the past. And although that is useful, we also want to make sure that we're spending some time just being present, that we're not living only in the past and future. So we're going to be thinking about that. You're going to think about what we just did, or anticipate what comes next. And every time that we realize that we're doing that, we're just going to come back to this moment, feeling the breath as it goes in, feeling the breath as it goes out, and feeling the sensations of the body. When you're ready to add some movement here, we're just going to bring the arms away from the body, bottoms of the feet are on the ground, and we'll just start to windshield wiper those legs, letting both knees fall down to one side, and then back up, and then fall down to the other side. We're not forcing anything here. We're simply just letting them fall from side to side. You can also begin to turn your head from side to side. We're going to do that without, or in the opposite direction as the legs are falling. Next time that the knees are up, we're going to pause there. We're just going to do a little pelvic tuck. So I want you to push your low back to the floor, kind of tucking the hips, and then you're going to just gently arch that low back. So it's a very subtle movement, just starting to wake up that low back. So I'm pushing my back to the floor, and then I'm letting that low back fall or pull away from the floor. We want to make sure that we're not feeling any pinching in that low back as we do that. Then we'll just go ahead and let our back find that stability, that neutral position here, right? So once we're here, we're going to start to heat up our core. So we're going to turn on and off our core engagement. So turn it on, pulling your belly button in or ribs towards hips, and then relax. So we're going to turn it on, maybe with your exhale, and then inhale, relax. Turn on that engagement, inhale, relax. Do that a few times, starting to feel the core engaged, the abdominals kind of heat up. Next time that you're contracting the core, we're going to hold that contraction. Belly button is pulling in, ribs and hips are pulling in. Now we're going to pull in our pelvic floor, and you're going to imagine like you're hollowing out the low belly. So you can think about these hip points pulling towards each other, or the legs squeezing together. Just hold that, or like you're trying to squeeze a ball or a block in between your knees. Keep breathing, but keep that core engaged, starting to feel those muscles maybe start to fatigue or heat up. And then we'll relax everything. We're going to do that again. We're going to add more of a challenge to that. So let's go ahead and we're going to engage the core. Belly button pulls in, or ribs and hips pull towards each other. Pelvic floor pulls in. Hollow out that low belly. And then I'm just going to add, you can always stay here, but we're going to try to add some movement. So I'm going to alternate between the right and left leg. I'm going to take that right knee and kind of crunch it in, and then bring the foot back down. And then the left leg crunches in, and then I bring that foot back down. What I want to make sure is that I'm moving slow and mindful, and that I'm not letting my hips kind of rock side to side here. Keep that core engaged. It's the star of the show, even though I'm adding the movement. When you feel like you've done it evenly with the right and left leg, we'll just relax everything. If it feels good to open the knees wide, you can do that. If it feels good to take a big full body stretch, you can do that. You can also just be still or windshield wiper the legs. So we're going to do that again. We're going to add even more of a challenge if you want to take it. So we're going to start out with the soles of the feet on the ground. Let's engage the core. Belly button pulls in, or ribs and hips pull towards each other. Pelvic floor pulls in. Hollow out the low belly. You can just be here. You can do exactly what we did last time, or you can reach your feet up so that the knees are bent and the shins are parallel to the ceiling and floor. I still have my core engaged, and then I'm going to add that movement alternating between the right and left leg. So I'm just going to lower the right heel or tap it and bring it up, then the left heel and tap it and bring it up. Again, I don't want my hips rocking side to side. I want to keep my core engaged. And when I'm moving the leg, it's moving at the thigh, not just bending and straightening the knee. Keep that core engaged. Keep breathing. When you feel like you've done it evenly on both sides, we'll lower the legs. We'll take any movement that feels good here. And then let's hug both knees in towards the chest. Now you can hug behind the knees, around the knees. They can be close together. They can be wide. You can rock here. We're just kind to awaken that low back. And then we'll go ahead and we'll make our way up to a seated position. So I like to sit on a blanket. It's just a little easier on your low back. So I'm going to sit my tush on the blanket, and I'm going to come to a seated position with my heels touching and my knees open. Now the heels don't need to be in close. They can be further away. I just want to sit up nice and tall here. So take a moment, pushing your tush into the ground and growing tall. And just be present with now the sensations of being in a seated position. Now we're going to start to move through some cat-cow-like stretches. So you're going to push the chest forward, pulling the shoulders back, maybe lean forward, arching the back, and then we're going to round the back, letting my head hang, letting my shoulders round. And I'm just going to go back and forth here. I want to make sure that I've got the shoulders moving, so my chest is moving, my hips are moving, and my head has some movement. So we're getting that movement through the whole spine. We're moving with the pace of our breath. It's not so important as which breath is which movement, but that we can stay in the present moment by moving with the pace of our breath. Beautiful. We'll make our way up to that nice and neutral spine. Push that tush in, grow nice and tall. Take a breath here. Notice the sensations of the body now. Let's inhale and sweep our arms up, grow nice and tall. And then we're gonna bring our palms to touch and the hands come to heart center. I'm gonna keep my hands at heart center, stay nice and tall, and I'm just gonna turn towards the left. And this turning comes from the chest more than the head. Yes, my head is turning, but I want the focus to be on my chest. I'm gonna inhale, reach the arms up, and then I'm gonna bring the hands to heart center and twist in the opposite direction. So that's our movement. Inhaling up, exhaling, coming into the twist. Inhaling up, exhale, twist. We're not getting big movement in the twist. It's just a little bit as we're waking the spine up. It's a great movement for your back. Next time the hands are up, pause there, reach up, gaze up, and then we're going to fold over the legs, right in the center. My hands come to the ground. I like to kind of take my hands and kind of push into the ground for a moment, just to kind of ease some of the intensity in the low back, but I'm letting my head hang, and I can soften that pushing in as feels good for your back. We don't want the sensation too intense, just a nice, gentle sensation in that low back. Let's slowly roll ourselves up. We're gonna stretch our legs long, and then we're just gonna move our feet and ankles. So point and flex the feet, maybe circle the ankles, wiggle your toes, maybe even spread those toes. Awesome. And then from here, we're just gonna make our way right up to a standing position. So you can stand towards the top of the mat. I'm in the middle so that I'm facing you, but imagine I was standing at the top of the mat. My toes are forward, my palms are forward, my knees are soft. Take a moment here to be present with the sensations now that we're standing. Feeling the mat underneath your feet, feeling your shoulders soften, feeling the breath as it moves in and out. As you take your next inhale, reach the arms up, root the feet in, and reach up nice and tall like you're trying to lift a package up on a shelf. And then exhale, fold over the legs. Pause here in your fold. So if this feels intense, you can always take a block and you can bring your hands to the block, but leave that head heavy. I'm gonna take my hands and kind of cup my knees with my hands, bringing my back up halfway. Pull that core in, open your collarbones forward. Exhale, fold. And then we'll slowly bring ourselves all of the way up, reaching up nice and tall. Palms are gonna touch, hands float down to heart center. We can leave the hands at heart center or bring them by our side. We're gonna add on here. So let's take that right arm and we'll reach it up towards the ceiling, and we'll tip over towards the left. Your gaze can be towards the floor or towards the ceiling. We're gonna bring ourselves back to that neutral standing pose. We'll take that on the left side, so left arm is up as we tip over towards the right. Let's bring the arms down by our side, that neutral standing pose. We're gonna inhale, sweep those arms up. Exhale, fold over the legs. Let that head hang. We're gonna take our hands, maybe cup our kneecaps with our hands, bring that back up to that half lift, strong core, open collarbones, nice strong torso here. Exhale, fold. And then that slow roll all of the way up, reaching up nice and tall. Palms touch, hands float down to heart center. Again, they can stay at heart center, they can rest by your side. Take a moment, take a breath. We're gonna do that again. We're gonna add on a little bit more. So let's inhale, we'll sweep both arms up. We're gonna bring the left arm down by our side and we'll tip over towards the left. Let's reach up. We'll bring that right arm down by our side and we'll tip over towards the right. We'll reach up, gaze up, Exhale, let's fold over the legs. Beautiful. This is where I like a block. We're gonna come into a runner's lunge. So I said we're gonna stay off of our wrists, so I don't want you dumping all your weight into your wrists here. So I'm stepping my right foot over towards the right, and I want my legs active so my hands don't have to support me here. So it's like I'm trying to take that right foot, dig it into the ground and pull it forward as I'm trying to draw that left hip back. So really I can be off of my fingers here in that runner's lunge. Peek forward with your chest. Beautiful. Let's take that right foot and step it forward. We're back to that forward fold. We're going to do that with the left foot. So I'm going to take that left foot back to that runner's lunge. I'm pushing into the ball of that left foot, trying to drag it forward as I try to dial my right hip back. Or imagine like your legs are scissors trying to close. So again, my legs are supporting me here. Peek forward, stay active through the legs. We're gonna step that left foot forward. We're back to our forward fold. You're gonna cup your kneecaps with your hands, bring that back up, half lift. Exhale, fold. We'll roll ourselves all of the way up, reaching up nice and tall. Palms are gonna touch, hands float down to heart center. And then I can pause in my neutral standing pose. Again, you can have the hands at heart center or keep them by your side. Take a moment here to be present. We wanna feel the changes that may have occurred. We're not rehashing, we're not thinking about what's coming next, we're simply just allowing ourselves to be here. Beautiful. All right, so we're gonna play with a little balance here. So what I want you to think about is rooting in, keeping the gaze eye level, and staying nice and tall. So all I'm gonna have you do here is just come off of your right heel. I wanna make sure I'm rooting into my left leg, growing nice and tall. And I'm gonna take this right foot and I'm just gonna tap it forward and tap it back. Just something very simple. If you feel wobbly here, it is shorter, slower movement. Next time the foot is forward, you're going to pause there. You're going to try to lift up the knee. Beautiful. Keeping that gaze forward. So I'm in that majorette. Hands can rest by your side, at your hips, at heart center. They can extend. We're trying to keep that knee up. Keep rooting into the left foot. We'll step that right foot down. Maybe shake it out. I'm going to face this way because it seems to be easier for me. Beautiful. So I'm rooting in. I'm growing nice and tall. Just going to come off of that left heel. Again, push and grow tall. We're going to add that tap. Tap that foot forward. Tap the foot back. If you feel wobbly, it's slower, shorter movement. Next time that foot is forward, pause there. We're going to lift up, stay tall, keep that gaze eye level. Hands can rest wherever you like them. And then step the foot down. Shake it out a bit. Awesome job. Okay. Take a breath. Notice how the feet, legs, everything feels. We're being present again. So I'm going to take I'm in my neutral stance. I'm going to just come off of my right heel. I'm going to lift that right knee up back to that majorette. Stay tall here. I'm going to slowly take the right foot and I'm going to step back to a warrior two. So I'm lunging into that left leg. Arms come out to a T. Let the shoulders melt away from the ears. Feel like you're pushing into the feet and growing tall here. Nice lunge there. Beautiful. I'm going to straighten the front leg, left leg, and reach that left arm up, sky archer. So I'm growing tall, pushing in like I'm in a taffy puller, being stretched. And I'm going to come back to that warrior two. And we're going to kind of flow here, reaching up and then lunging in. Reaching up and lunging in. Next time you're in that sky archer, hold that. Push into the feet, grow tall. I'm going to sweep both arms up and then back to the floor or a block. Adjust that right foot as I come into my runner's lunge. Make the legs work. If you feel like you're wobbly here, step that right foot over to the right more and or up a little bit. Peeking those collarbones forward. Step your right foot next to your left. You're in that forward fold. Exhale, let it out of your mouth. Inhale, we're going to come into that half lift, strong core, open heart. Exhale, folds. And then let's roll ourselves all of the way up. Palms touch, hands come down to heart center. We're back to that neutral standing pose again. So I'm going to take that on the other side. My left heel is just going to come off the ground. Then I'm going to lift that left knee up, that major. Try to keep the chest up. Try to keep your gaze forward. We're going to step that left foot back to a warrior two. Lunging into the right leg, arms are out to a T, shoulders soften. I'm pushing into my feet to get that stability. Reaching through my fingers. Breathe here. We're going to straighten the right leg, reaching that right arm up towards the sky, sky archer. Then we're going to flow in between those. Warrior two, into your sky archer. Being present with the transition, being present with your breath. Next time you're in that sky archer, hold that push into the feet, grow tall, reach up. We're gonna windmill the fingertips to the ground, adjust that left foot over and up a little bit so we're in that runner's lunge. Draw that right hip back. We are active here. Our hands are not doing a lot of work. And then from here, we're going to make our way, or we're gonna step into that forward fold. Take a pause here. From here, we're going to bring ourselves into a child's pose. So just briefly on our hands and knees so we can take those knees wide, push the toes towards each other, push those hips back, and then any position with the arms. I like to kind of stack my hands and place my forehead there. Let's just take a pause here. Being present with ourselves winding down. Being present with the breath. Maybe bringing a little bit more focus to the exhale, bringing a little bit more focus to softening. And then from here, you can bring yourself up and we're gonna come back to laying on our back here. So we're gonna have your block or your blanket handy as we come to laying on our back. You might kind of shift a little, you might hug, you might windshield wiper, whatever seems to feel comforting to you. Allow yourself to move in a comforting manner. Beautiful. All right, so we're gonna have the soles of the feet on the ground. Arms are gonna come away from the body, maybe out to a T, and we want the palms facing up. It's just a nice rotation for our shoulders. We're gonna take our right ankle and place it on our left thigh. And just kind of pause here for a moment, just letting the legs relax. And we're gonna kind of, without using our hands, we're just gonna kind of push that right knee away from us and then let it relax. And push that right knee away from us and let it relax. Next time you let that leg relax, pause there. Maybe you take your left foot and just step it over to the left just a tiny bit. We're keeping the legs like this. We're just gonna let them twist down to the left. So the right foot and left knee are trying to make their way to the floor. If they make it to the floor, awesome. If they don't make it to the floor, awesome. And then take a moment and just shake your head no. Maybe let your shoulders soften here. Thinking about a nice long exhale. We're trying to think about softening. So we kind of warmed up and moved the body a little bit, and now we're kind of softening and letting the body release tension. Maybe you feel those shifting sensations in the body, starting to feel yourself wind down. Noticing when that mind wanders, which it will, and see if you can bring it back to this present moment. Let's go ahead and bring the knees up. We'll place both soles of the feet on the ground and just take a breath, kind of noticing the sensations in the right hip and leg and in the left hip and leg. Let's take that left ankle to the right thigh, and then we're just, without our hands, we're just gonna push that left knee away and then relax it a couple times. Like we're priming the knee or the hip really for more. Next time that you relax that leg, you're gonna pause, just let it relax. Maybe take that right foot and just step it to the right a little bit. We're gonna let the legs fall down to the right. So the right foot and, so the right knee and left foot might come to the floor. They might be hanging out. This is totally fine too. You might shake your head no. We wanna make sure we're not adding tension to the neck and shoulders. So if you need to shimmy the shoulders a little or bring your arms closer to the body, as long as the palms are facing up, that's beautiful. Head can land wherever it feels nice. And we're just breathing here. Softening. I can recognize that like this side, the left hip and leg might feel different. It might feel stronger in different places, might feel less intense. That is not it's without judgment that we're doing that. We're just simply being like, that's interesting. Finding the mind when it wanders and bringing it back to this moment. Let's bring the legs up. We'll bring both soles of the feet to the ground and just take a breath without movement. Then you can take any movement that feels good, stretching along, hugging in and rocking, or windshield wiping the legs, just adding a little movement here, unwinding from that twist. We're gonna come into our inversion. So if you have a blanket or a block, I'm gonna use a block, but if you have a blanket, you can fold it up like a block. You're just gonna raise your hips and place that underneath your hips. And we wanna make sure that it's supporting the hips and not squishing the low back. If you don't have one, that's fine. Everybody's gonna raise their feet up towards the ceiling. You can hold the legs up for a little bit more support. And we're just gonna move the feet again. Let's point and flex, let's circle, let's squish and spread our toes. And then we're just gonna find a little stillness here. Maybe you even close your eyes and just be present with all the shifting sensations that you feel in your feet, your legs. Maybe you feel it in your heart or your head or with your breath. Feeling the body maybe start to slow down or feel a little bit more at ease or calm. We'll go ahead and bring the soles of the feet to the ground. We'll lift up just enough to remove that block, setting it out of our way. And let's give those knees a little hug, maybe rocking or circling on that low back. Then we're gonna make our way into our final resting pose. So you can finish class the way that you start it, with the hands on the belly and your feet on the ground. You can take corpse pose, arms are by your side, legs are long. If you have that blanket, you can place it under your neck, on your chest, under your back, under your knees. You can do legs up the wall. Comfort is king here. So that overrules any position. I want you nice and cozy. Then take a big, huge breath in through your nose and let it out with a great big sigh. See if maybe you can shift a little bit just to make yourself a little, maybe even 1% more cozy. We're gonna do that cleansing breath again, big, huge breath in through your nose. And then exhale, let it out with a sigh. Give ourselves a few moments or minutes to just allow ourselves to be. So we're not going to try to be present here. It's okay if that mind wanders off. We want our body to be soft, relaxed. We want our breath to be easy and natural. And then we want that mind to be soft. The thoughts are still going to be flowing in and flowing out, but we're not really paying attention to them, as we just allow ourselves this time to just breathe and be. as you bring your awareness back to the room, take a slow breath in through your nose and softly let it out of your mouth. We're going to start to add some gentle movement to our fingers and toes, our wrists and ankles. Maybe you turn your head softly side to side. And let's take a big full body stretch. And we'll hug those knees in towards our chest. We'll roll onto our favorite side. We'll slowly begin to make our way up to a nice, comfortable seat. Your legs can take any shape that feels good for you. Let's inhale, sweep those arms up, reach up nice and tall, grab some of that positive energy and relaxation we created. We'll pull it down into our heart space. So thank you so very much for joining me in this practice today. The light in me sees and honors the light within you. Namaste.